Hi everyone, welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make a delicious, soft, moist strawberry velvet cake using Archana's Kitchen strawberry velvet cake mix. It's made with the goodness of jowar and barley and whole wheat and absolutely no maida. And I'm going to show you how to make this cake eggless without eggs and using just simple ingredients like curd, which is available at home, and oil as well. And I'm going to be showing you two methods of how to bake this cake using both a pressure cooker as well as an oven. So let's get started. First thing to begin making the cake is I'm going to show you what are the various different pans that you can use. I have here with me a cupcake pan, also known as a muffin pan. Typically red velvet cakes are made in form of cupcakes and they taste absolutely great, and you know, a small bite of it sort of melts in your mouth. And just like that, I'm going to be making a strawberry velvet cake that has absolutely no colors, no preservatives, and made with natural strawberry and a dash of beetroot. Yes, I'm going to show you how to make it. So you can either use like a muffin pan or a cupcake pan to make it if you're going to be putting it into an oven, or if you don't have one of them and you have an oven, you can use like a cake pan as well. And if you don't have like a round cake pan, you can also use a pressure cooker pan, which, you know, the pans that come along with the pressure cookers where you put your rice and dal to cook it. Yes, so this is the pan that I'm going to be using to put inside the pressure cooker and make our cake. Well, if you don't have one of these and you just have a pressure cooker but you do have a cake pan, and if you want to bake this cake, you can use a regular cake pan, which is a round cake pan, and put it inside your pressure cooker and then make it. And I'm going to share you tips of how you can bake in a pressure cooker once we get all the preparations done. So now I'm going to move all of this to the side and then start making the cake by putting it along with some yogurt, oil, and the cake mix. So let's get started. So to begin putting the cake mix together, take a large wide mixing bowl, and I have measured 240 ml of curd in my cup, and I also have 80 ml of oil. You can also use butter and fill about 80 grams of butter, which is softened, almost like melted state, not like boiling hot ghee state, but almost like melted softened butter, or you can use 80 ml of oil. Okay, wonderful. So now the first thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and add in the Archana's Kitchen strawberry velvet cake mixes, which are made from jowar and barley and whole grains like whole wheat. Great, just going to go ahead and add all of it in. Just tap so that all of the powder just falls in beautifully. And I'm going to add in the dahi. You can use, I would prefer like homemade dahi, or the dahi which is more like in the loose form. But if you're going to be using curd, which is bought from the market, which is a set curd, you can use that as well. And what you have to do is, sometimes that is thick, it has a little less whey in it. So if the batter becomes too thick, you can add 2 tablespoons of water to it and then mix it up well to make a nice smooth and fluffy batter. Great, so like I'm going to add in the 80 ml of oil. Wonderful. And I'm just now going to mix all this up, beat it well until it becomes nice and fluffy, and that's it. Our cake mix batter is done. It's as good as that. You don't need like a machine. You can just use a ladle and mix it up all well until it's nice and smooth. Wonderful, this looks great. Notice the beautiful colors which is coming from the natural strawberry and the beetroot. It's nice and fluffy and it looks smooth and it's got a nice shine above it, and this is just perfect. Now my next step is to show you how to grease our pan and then dust it with flour. And if I'm going to be using a muffin pan, you can also grease and dust it with flour, or you can use those cupcake liners to make it nice and pretty. Okay, so let's just do that. Great, so into my pressure cooker pan, which I'm just going to be using, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of oil. You can also add soft butter and just spread the oil all around on the bottom as well as the edges and the sides. You want to ensure that it's greased well. The reason we're greasing is we're going to be dusting it with flour, and after we dust it with flour and when the cake bakes in it, it'll be very easy to take it out, right? So, and I'm going to add some flour to it, and I'm going to tap it so that the flour gets coated all around wherever we have greased it with oil. Okay, and I typically like to do this process under a sink, right, because then you can just dust off all the excess flour, but I'm doing it under a pan right now. So, and I'm just going to tap and remove the excess flour, and you have a nicely greased pan. This is great. So my next step is to, if you're going to be baking it in an oven, you can grease your round cake pan or a pan like this, just like that, and dust it as well. And if you're going to be using a muffin pan and you don't have one of these liners, then what you can do is just like you spread and grease oil into all the cavities, and after that sprinkle a little bit of flour, dust it by tapping it around, and then you would have greased and dusted your cupcake pan as well. So now I'm ready to spoon the batter into the cupcake pan and just fill it to 3/4 full, because the cupcakes are going to rise up, and hence just fill it to 3/4. And if you're not using a liner, again just fill it to 3/4. Okay, right, so we'll just give it a tap to remove any air bubbles, and I'm ready to put it into my oven. So you need to preheat your oven to 160 degrees centigrade for about 10 to 15 minutes at least. Okay, the oven should be nice and warm before you put the cupcakes in. So the baking time of cupcakes differs from the baking time of a cake that you would put in a pan. If you put the cake in a pan, it will take about 35 to 40 minutes depending upon the size of your oven and also what type of oven it is, right? And if you put the cake in a cupcake pan or a muffin pan, because there are all small quantities in each of these cavities, they would take much less time, between 10 to 12 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes max. Okay, so great. And the way you test that the cake is done is that at a 10-minute interval, or at if you're making it in a pan, at a 30-minute interval, then you would sort of put a knife inside the center and then check if it comes out clean. If it comes out clean, take it out. So at about 10 to 12, when it's about 12 minutes and you've seen that the cake is risen nicely, then you take it out. Now, if you, there are different types of ovens. So for example, if you have an oven which is larger, which is about 40 liters or more, then your cake might take, it might bake faster, and you can actually raise the temperature to about 175, 180 degrees centigrade. If you have a small oven, which is a 25-liter oven, please keep the temperature to 160 degrees centigrade, because that's when the top doesn't get burnt and it bakes at a good time. I mean, it takes its own time to bake very well. So now that's it. I'm going to put this into the oven and then make the next batter, and then show you how to put it into the pressure cooker to bake the cake in the pressure cooker. So let's do that. So before I prep the batter and place it in the pressure cooker, what you have to do is to prepare the pressure cooker. You need to place a trivet at the bottom. All pressure cookers come with a trivet, so place a trivet at the bottom. And we're not going to be placing this cake pan directly inside on top of the trivet, because it'll be very close to heat, and you don't have to put any sand or salt or no water, nothing at all. And you place another bowl which is about 2.5 inches in height, depending upon the size of the pressure cooker. Ensure that there's at least 3 inches of height from the bottom of the pressure cooker before you can place your pan, right? So that there is enough space between the bottom of the pan and the cake pan, and so it doesn't get burnt at the bottom, right? So then after that, you would put your cake pan on the top, and you would only keep the gasket and no weight. So we're going to remove the weight, so we're not going to be pressure cooking it. There's going to be heat escaping from here. At the same time, the gasket is going to be on, which is going to trap the heat a little bit more tightly. So now I'm going to go and preheat the pressure cooker just like this, an empty pressure cooker, for about 10 minutes till we get our batter ready. And I'm going to be putting it on the lowest flame. And when baking, it's going to be on low to medium heat, right? It's not going to be on the lowest heat, not going to be on the highest heat, but about the low to medium heat, so that it gets baked evenly. Wonderful. Let's get to preheat our pressure cooker. Okay, once again, beat the batter really well. It's almost done. This is great. So now I'm ready to put it into the pan. It's nice and fluffy. And after that, to remove any air pockets, just tap it, and that's it. So now I'm ready to put it into the pressure cooker, which has been preheating now for about 10 minutes. So let's get the pressure cooker. Just going to go ahead and place this carefully. Wonderful. I'm going to cover it and just pressure cook it for about 35 to 40 minutes. Yeah, so put a timer on so that you don't forget. The strawberry velvet cupcakes are now out of the oven and they look so delicious. Look at that. It looks nice, red, fresh, soft, velvety. I can't wait to taste it, but we have to wait for it to cool. So a good way to test whether it's done while it is in the oven is to put a knife in the center and then check if it comes out clean. If it comes out clean, it's great. And the pressure cooker cake is done as well. I just checked it. Let's just put a knife in the center and it comes out clean, it's done. So when you're ready to take the cake out of the pan, just slide the knife around the edges so it comes out easily. So you can get about 12 sensible slices from this cake, or you can have 8 large slices, okay? So it's completely up to you. Wonderful. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it. And there you go. We'll just pull it out. It's nice and warm. Warm cakes are wonderful to be had along with a cup of green tea or anything like that. And that's how the cake looks. Doesn't this look wonderful, beautiful, fluffy, and absolutely flavorful? So I hope you enjoyed watching the recipe of how to put together a delicious strawberry velvet cake from my brand of cake mixes, which is Archana's Kitchen Strawberry Velvet Cake Mix. Made from jowar and barley, the goodness of whole wheat and millets, and no maida, no preservatives, no artificial colors, and best part, it can be made eggless in a pressure cooker or in an oven or an OTG as well. Wonderful. And I hope you do get to buy these cake mixes. All the links are there in the description below of where you can shop them. And when you do, don't forget to try them at home. Follow these recipes. I will be coming up with more recipes of what all you can do with this delicious cake mix. Not just putting a cupcake together, but many things more. Yeah, so watch out for those recipes as well. And yes, share your reviews and I would love to hear from you.